But first tonight, Peter Dutton has demanded an inquiry into why the Prime Minister was kept in the dark about the major terror threat of the caravan of explosives. Albanese has repeatedly refused to say when he was briefed on this. But the Australian reports that the Prime Minister and the Attorney General Mark Dreyfus were only briefed on the same day the story went public. Now, the caravan contained enough power gel explosives to create a 40-metre blast wave. It had the addresses of the Great Synagogue and the Jewish Holocaust Museum inside. And Peter Dutton has said this could have been Australia's largest mass casualty event. Thank God it wasn't. This is a matter of national security. Extra measures needed to be taken to protect the community. Yet the Prime Minister only found out about this major terror threat 10 days after it was uncovered, and 9 days after Premier Chris Minns was briefed. Dutton says there now needs to be an inquiry into why the Prime Minister didn't know about this matter of critical importance.
How can we conceive of a position where the Prime Minister of our country is not aware of a planned mass terrorist attack that could have resulted in a 40-metre blast zone and hundreds of people losing their lives? I think they're reasonable questions, not politically based. This is a matter of national security and it can't be repeated. And I'm not aware of any precedent for it before.
And Peter Dutton indicated that he'd heard that agencies were concerned that Albanese might leak the information, that perhaps the Prime Minister couldn't be trusted.
The New South Wales Police have either made a deliberate decision not to advise the Commonwealth so that the Prime Minister wasn't advised because they were worried he was going to leak the information. Beyond that, there's no other reasonable explanation.
Now, this is important. This issue is critical to public safety. How can Albanese protect us from terror threats if he doesn't know about them? Yet the Prime Minister today tried to deflect by saying this was all noise and politics.
I find it shocking that the Prime Minister of this country wasn't alerted to an explosive-laden caravan targeting Jewish sites, a threat with the potential to be Australia's largest terror event. You must have been absolutely livid that you weren't notified.
No, you're making an incredible assumption there, Carl. You know what is important here? What's important here is that we don't play politics with national security.
It's not playing politics, it's about protecting Australians. He's meant to be the leader. And Albanese pretended the focus should be the investigation itself. Well, there can be two things happening at the same time: the actual police investigation and a separate inquiry into why he wasn't told.
Would you support something like that, or is there nothing to see here?
Right, so stop the investigations, stop doing the work to track down the perpetrators of these crimes, and engage in politics.
All right, that's a no.
So
all right.
Do you think that that is a sensible use of resources?
How stupid does he think people are? No one is suggesting the counter-terrorism officers investigate why Albanese wasn't told. The suggestion is for a separate bureaucratic inquiry, and it wouldn't take long. But you could see the Prime Minister was getting agitated the more questions were asked in that interview. He didn't like that line of questioning. Now, the call for an inquiry first arose here last night when I put it to Shadow Home Affairs Minister James Paterson. If it would have been executed, a terror attack that would have had a 40-metre blast wave, and yet the Prime Minister didn't know about it. There almost should be an inquiry into what has gone on here, because this is a major failure of national security. It's a major failure to protect Australian citizens. Do you think there should be an inquiry?
I strongly support an independent inquiry by an eminent national security expert to get to the bottom of why the Prime Minister didn't know, or when he did know, and what he did about it.
And then this afternoon, we saw the Australian Federal Police cover up on Albanese's behalf and repeat the same spin that it's an operational matter when they were asked when he was told. Now, the idea that it's an operational matter is, of course, utter nonsense. Or Chris Minns wouldn't have been told. He wouldn't have felt comfortable saying the date that he was briefed. He had no problem saying that. But the reality is that Albanese, the Prime Minister, doesn't seem interested in national security at all. If he was, he would have been having regular National Security Committee of Cabinet meetings on the anti-Semitism crisis. He would have been getting daily briefings from the heads of AFP and ASIO on this issue. That hasn't been happening. Albanese just isn't interested. He doesn't think it's a big deal. And if Dutton's information is right, well, it would be highly concerning that the Prime Minister's own agencies don't trust him enough to divulge top secret intelligence.